It was an early morning when two friends, Rami and Lila, prepared for a hiking trip near the western cliffs. Both loved nature and exploring quiet, hidden places far from the city. Rami packed his small camera, always ready to capture anything unusual, while Lila brought her notebook to write down everything they discovered. They had planned this trip for weeks, but this morning felt special. The air smelled fresh, and the sun had just started to rise, painting the cliffs with soft gold and orange hues. Before leaving the village, they had spoken to an elderly villager named Hadi. Hadi had told them a curious story. He said that deep in the cliffs, there was a strange sound, like water moving through rocks. People had tried to find it for years, but nobody could discover the source. Some villagers believed it was an underground river, while others thought it was just the wind passing through the cliffs. The story fascinated Rami instantly. "Do you really think it exists?" Layla asked, tying her shoes tightly. "I have to see it for myself," Rami said, his eyes sparkling with excitement with their backpacks ready. They started walking along a narrow, rocky trail. The path was uneven, and small stones shifted under their feet. They passed through dry bushes and small trees clinging to the cliff edges. Birds flew overhead, and the sound of their wings added a soft melody to the quiet morning. Every now and then, a gentle breeze carried the smell of wet earth from hidden places they could not see as they walked deeper into the cliffs. The air changed. It felt cooler and fresher, and the faint sound of running water began to reach their ears. Rami paused and listened carefully. "Do you hear that?" he whispered. Lila stopped and nodded. "It does sound like water, but there should not be a river here. It must be hidden somehow." They followed the sound, moving carefully along the rocky trail. The path became narrower, barely wide enough for one person at a time. The cliffs on both sides were tall and sharp, creating shadows that made the passage look mysterious. The rocks were old, with small cracks filled with tiny plants that grew bravely between the stones. Lila wrote in her notebook, describing the strange beauty of the cliffs and the faint sound that guided them forward. After almost an hour of walking, they reached a point where the path opened up slightly. What lay ahead made them stop in amazement. Between the cliffs stretched a long, straight canal. Its walls were smooth and perfectly carved, cutting through the cliffs like a giant hand had shaped it carefully. The water inside was clear and calm, reflecting the cliffs and the sky above. It was unlike anything they had seen before. "This is unbelievable," Lila said, stepping closer. "It looks completely man-made. Who could have built this here?" Rami bent down to touch the edge of the canal. The stone was polished and smooth, not rough like the surrounding cliffs. He ran his fingers along the wall and noticed tiny patterns that looked like they were carved long ago. "It feels ancient," he said softly. They started walking along the canal, trying to see where it led. The water stretched far ahead and disappeared around a bend. Small plants grew along the edges, and the faint sound of the water moving over rocks filled the air. The place was silent, except for the soft whispers of the water and the occasional call of a distant bird. "This place is so quiet," Layla said. "It feels like it has been hidden for hundreds of years." Rami nodded, taking pictures from every angle. "We should explore carefully. We might be standing in a place no one has walked for decades or even centuries." They walked slowly, noticing every detail. The walls of the canal were carved so precisely that it was hard to imagine humans creating it without modern tools. At some points, the walls had small grooves, like channels made to guide the water. The canal was wide enough for a small boat, but there was no sign of one. No bridges, no footpaths, nothing to show that people used it recently. "This is not just a hidden river," Rami said, observing the straight lines and polished stones. "It looks like someone planned it carefully. But why here, in the middle of cliffs, far from villages?" Lila paused to write in her notebook. She described the smooth walls, the clear water, and the way the sunlight reflected on the surface. She also made sketches of the unusual shapes carved into the stone. If this is ancient, we need to be careful. I do not want to damage anything while exploring. They continued walking along the canal until the path narrowed again. At one point, the cliffs on both sides came so close that they almost touched. The sunlight barely reached the water, creating a mysterious glow. Rami took more photos, capturing the reflections and shadows that danced on the walls. Suddenly, Lila noticed something unusual on the far wall. Small symbols were carved into the stone. They were simple shapes, like lines and circles, but arranged in patterns. "Rami, look at this," she said, pointing. Rami leaned closer. "It could be a message or a map," he said. "Maybe the people who built this wanted to leave instructions for others." They spent some time examining the carvings. Lila carefully copied them into her notebook while Rami photographed each one. The symbols were unlike anything they had seen before, but they seemed meaningful. Lila guessed that someone had used them to guide travelers or workers along the canal dot as they walked further. The canal widened again. The walls were higher, and the water shimmered under the faint sunlight that managed to reach the cliffs. Small fish swam in the clear water, and plants grew along the edges, showing that life had adapted to this hidden place. "This place feels alive," Lila said softly. "Even though nobody comes here, nature has taken over in its own way." Rami smiled. "It's like discovering a secret world. We are the first to see it in a long time." They followed the canal for another hour, curious to see where it ended. The farther they went, the more mysterious it became. Sometimes, the canal split into smaller channels that disappeared into dark openings. The water flowed smoothly, and the sound was calming, almost like music. Finally, they reached a bend where the canal disappeared from view. The cliffs closed around it, hiding the path ahead. They could not see where it led, and the mystery grew stronger. Lila sat on a smooth stone at the edge of the canal. "We need to rest and think," she said. "There is so much to understand here." Rami nodded and sat beside her. "I wonder who built it and why. Maybe it was made for water supply, or maybe it had a special purpose we cannot imagine yet." They stayed there for a while, listening to the gentle sound of water and watching how the sunlight made the surface glow. The calm and beauty of the place made them feel peaceful, but at the same time, they knew this was the beginning of a much bigger discovery dot as the sun began to lower. Casting long shadows on the cliffs, Rami and Lila decided to leave for the day. They carefully walked back through the narrow paths, making mental notes of the way. Both of them were silent, thinking about the hidden canal and the mystery it held. "This place is special," Lila said finally. "We should come back prepared and explore more. Maybe we will uncover its story." Rami agreed. "Yes, this is only the start. We have found something extraordinary, and we need to understand it before anyone else disturbs it." As they returned to the village, the wind passed between the cliffs, carrying a soft, mysterious hum. Both of them felt that the canal was more than just water and stone. It was a secret, waiting for the right people to discover its truth. They promised each other to return soon, ready to explore deeper into the cliffs, ready to uncover the hidden canal and its long-lost story. The next morning, Rami and Lila woke early. Their minds were still full of the hidden canal they had discovered the day before. They could not stop thinking about the smooth walls, the straight water, and the strange symbols carved into the stone. They wanted to understand the story behind it. Rami packed his camera, extra batteries, and a small flashlight. Lila brought her notebook, pencils, and a small magnifying glass to examine the carvings more closely. Both of them also carried water and sandwiches because they planned to spend the whole day exploring. "Are you ready?" Rami asked, tightening his backpack straps. Lila smiled. I have been ready since yesterday. Let's find out more about this canal. They walked toward the cliffs, the early morning sunlight casting long shadows across the rocks. The birds were chirping, and a gentle wind moved the leaves. They followed the same narrow path, careful with each step. The cliffs felt taller and more mysterious this morning. It seemed as if the hidden canal was waiting for them to return. When they arrived, the canal stretched before them, just as they had left it. The water reflected the cliffs, creating a perfect mirror. Small ripples moved across the surface, and the hum of water flowing added a soothing sound to the quiet morning. "This place is even more beautiful in daylight," Lila said, taking a deep breath. "I feel like we are stepping into a world forgotten by time." Remy nodded. "Let's explore carefully. Yesterday, we only saw the surface. Today, we should understand the canal better." They began walking along the edge of the canal. Remy examined the stone walls with his camera, capturing every detail, while Lila used her magnifying glass to look closely at the carvings. The symbols seemed to tell a story, but it was not easy to understand. Some were lines and circles, while others looked like arrows pointing in different directions. Lila carefully copied them into her notebook, hoping to find a pattern later. After walking for some time, they found a narrow staircase carved into the cliff wall. The steps were worn, but still strong. The staircase led down to a lower level beside the canal, closer to the water. "This must have been used to reach the water," Lila said. "Maybe people carried water or goods from here." Remy carefully walked down the steps, feeling the smooth stone under his hands. The lower level opened into a small platform. From there, they could see the canal more clearly. The water looked deeper here, and strange shadows moved beneath the surface. "Do you see that?" Remy whispered. Lila leaned closer. Tiny fish swam near the water's edge, but deeper inside, the shadows seemed to form patterns. "It looks like there are underwater channels," she said. "The canal might be connected to tunnels beneath the cliffs." Remy's eyes widened. "If that is true, this canal is much bigger than we thought. It could run for kilometers underground." They walked along the lower platform, observing the water and the walls. Small plants grew from the cracks, showing that nature had adapted to this hidden place. The sunlight fell at certain angles, creating sparkling reflections on the water. It felt magical, almost like the canal was alive. Lila pointed to a part of the wall where the symbols were clearer. "These carvings might show directions. Look, this line leads toward a small marking near the water. Maybe it tells us where the hidden tunnels begin." Remy leaned closer, studying the pattern. "You might be right. We should explore carefully and see if there is an entrance to those tunnels." They walked further along the water. After a short distance, they found a small opening in the cliff wall. It was almost hidden by plants and shadows. The opening led down into darkness. "This must be it," Lila said, feeling both excited and nervous. The hidden tunnels. The canal might continue inside. Remy turned on his flashlight and stepped inside. Lila followed, her notebook safely in her backpack. The tunnel was narrow at first, but widened after a few meters. The walls were carved smoothly, just like the canal outside. Water flowed gently through small channels on either side of the tunnel, guiding them forward. "This is incredible," Remy said softly. "It is like walking into an ancient city hidden beneath the cliffs." The tunnel turned slightly, and the air became cooler and damp. Small droplets of water fell from the ceiling, and their light reflected off the polished walls. The symbols continued along the walls, showing lines, circles, and shapes that seemed to guide their path. Lila stopped to take notes. If someone built this, they were very careful. Every detail has meaning. I wonder who they were and why they made it. They continued walking. After some time, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. The ceiling was high, and sunlight from a small opening above lit the space. In the middle, the water formed a pool, calm and clear. Around the pool, stones were arranged in neat patterns, like a floor made by careful hands. "It looks like a gathering place," Layla said. "Maybe people use this chamber for meetings or special activities." Ramai took photos of the entire chamber. "Everything here is preserved so well. It feels like stepping into the past." They walked around the chamber, noticing small carvings on the walls. Some were similar to the symbols outside, but others looked like simple drawings of people, animals, and plants. Lila carefully sketched them in her notebook, wondering what story they were telling. "This place must have been very important," Lila said. "It is hidden, protected by the cliffs, and preserved perfectly. Whoever built it wanted it to last." Rami nodded. "And now we are the first to see it in a very long time. We have to understand it carefully." They spent hours exploring the chamber. They found small channels that carried water to different parts of the tunnel. Some led to narrow passages that disappeared into darkness, while others flowed back toward the canal outside. The engineers who built this had clearly understood how water moved through the cliffs. "This is not just a canal," Ramai said. "It is part of a larger system. Someone spent a lot of time designing this." Lila agreed. "And the carvings might be instructions or messages for people who used it. We need to study them carefully to understand more." As the afternoon sun moved, the light in the chamber changed. Shadows shifted on the walls, making the carvings look alive. Lila and Ramai felt a strange connection to the place. It was quiet, but it was not empty. The canal, the tunnels, and the chamber felt full of history and purpose. "We should come back with more equipment," Ramai said. "Maybe even measure the water depth and see where the tunnels go. This could be a huge discovery." Leela smiled. "Yes, but today was perfect. We have already seen so much, and we have notes, sketches, and photos. We will understand more with time." As they prepared to leave, they walked back through the tunnels carefully, following the channels of water that led them to the canal outside. The sunlight welcomed them back, and the water reflected the sky as they walked along the smooth stone path. "This place will stay in our memory forever," Lila said, watching the calm water. Ramai nodded. "And we have a story to uncover. The hidden canal is not just a secret of nature. It is a secret of the past, waiting for us to reveal it." Before leaving the cliffs, they took one last look at the canal stretching into the distance. They promised each other to return soon with more equipment, ready to explore deeper tunnels and understand the true purpose of this hidden marvel. The wind whispered gently between the cliffs, carrying the faint sound of water and the echo of the hidden chambers. Both friends felt that the canal was not just a place, but a story preserved in stone and water. They could not wait to return and continue the journey into the hidden world beneath the cliffs. Remy and Lila could not stop thinking about the hidden canal after their second visit. That night, they sat in Ramai's small room, surrounded by sketches, photographs, and notes from their first explorations. The mysterious symbols carved on the walls and the underground chamber fascinated them. They knew there was much more to discover, and they wanted to be ready for the next adventure. "We need to plan carefully," Ramai said, spreading out his photos on the table. "If the tunnels go deeper, we could find even more chambers, or maybe a system of canals we cannot see yet." Lila nodded, studying her sketches. The symbols might be instructions or maps. Some of them point in different directions, and a few look like stairs or doors. If we follow them carefully, we might find hidden areas that we missed before. Ramai smiled. "Then tomorrow we return, but this time we bring ropes, extra lights, and measuring tools. We should be ready for anything." The next morning, they packed their backpacks with more supplies than before. They included ropes, flashlights, waterproof boots, a small portable ladder, notebooks, pencils, and cameras with extra memory cards. The village air felt crisp as they started their journey again. The cliffs looked even taller in the early light, their shadows stretching across the ground. "This is going to be the most exciting day yet," Ramai said, adjusting his backpack. Lila laughed. "Let's hope the canal welcomes us back." They reached the hidden canal after about an hour of walking. The water reflected the sun, creating bright patterns on the cliff walls. It was calm and inviting, yet it held the secrets of centuries. Ramai and Lila started walking along the canal edge toward the narrow staircase that led to the lower-level dot at the lower platform. They paused. "We need to go slowly," Lila said. "Yesterday, we explored carefully, but today we want to look deeper, and it might get tricky in some areas." Ramai nodded, shining his flashlight into the darker parts of the tunnel. "The symbols should guide us. Let's follow the paths they indicate and see where they lead." As they entered the tunnel, the air became cool and damp again. The faint sound of water moving through channels surrounded them. The symbols continued along the walls, forming lines, arrows, and shapes that seemed to guide them deeper into the underground system. "This part of the tunnel looks older," Lila said. "The walls are darker, and the water flows more slowly. It feels like we are going further into the past." Ramai examined the floor. Small stones were arranged in patterns that seemed deliberate. They built this carefully. Even the smallest details have meaning. After walking for a while, they found a small chamber hidden behind a narrow passage. The entrance was partially covered by rocks, as if it had been closed for years. Ramai carefully moved the stones aside, and Lila shined her flashlight into the chamber dot inside. They found a collection of carved shapes and symbols covering the walls from floor to ceiling. Some symbols were similar to those in the canal, but others were completely new. There were circles connected by lines, small triangular shapes, and patterns that resembled plants and animals. Lila immediately began copying them into her notebook. "These symbols might tell the story of the people who built this," she said. "Maybe they were trying to record their work, or maybe it is a map of the canals." Ramai walked closer to the water in the chamber. The surface was perfectly still, reflecting the carvings on the walls. "It is amazing how everything is preserved. There is no sign of damage from time. This place feels untouched." They explored the chamber carefully, noting the channels of water that ran along the walls. Some channels were connected to the main canal, while others led to narrow tunnels that disappeared into darkness. Lila felt a thrill of curiosity. "We should follow one of these side tunnels. It might lead to another chamber or an exit we don't know about." Ramai agreed. "Let's mark our path so we do not get lost." These tunnels could go on for a long distance. They chose a narrow side tunnel and carefully moved forward. The passage was low, requiring them to crouch, and the walls were wet with moisture. The water in the channel beside them flowed steadily, guiding their way. After a short distance, the tunnel opened into another chamber, slightly smaller than the first dot in the center. A raised platform of stone caught their attention. On top, there were carvings that looked like stars, moons, and sun symbols. Lila leaned closer, her notebook ready. "These are different from the others. Maybe this chamber had a special purpose, like a place for observing the sky or marking time." Ramai examined the walls. If the builders had knowledge of astronomy, it would explain why the canal is straight and precise. They might have designed it for both water and observation. They spent a long time documenting everything. Lila sketched the star-like carvings, while Ramai took photographs from multiple angles. The walls of the chamber were smooth, and even the corners were carefully finished, showing the skill of the builders. "This is more advanced than I imagined," Lila said. "The people who built this canal were clever, and they wanted to leave a record for future generations." Ramai nodded. "And it seems they succeeded. We are seeing their work hundreds of years later. We need to preserve it in our notes and photographs. As they explored further, they noticed that some of the carvings in the chamber pointed toward a narrow tunnel leading upward. Rami shone his flashlight inside and saw faint sunlight filtering through. "This could be an exit," he said. "Or another chamber above us." Lila's eyes lit up. "Let's check it carefully. If it is another chamber, it might be full of more clues." They climbed carefully through the narrow tunnel. The walls were damp, and small stones occasionally shifted under their hands. The tunnel opened into a small outdoor area between the cliffs. Sunlight flooded in, and the air smelled fresh and warm. They were higher than the canal, and from here, they could see parts of the cliffs and the surrounding area that they had never noticed before. "This is amazing," Lila said, looking around. "We've been underground for so long, and now we are above the canal. It feels like a secret balcony in the cliffs." Rami took photographs of the view. "From here, we can understand how the canal connects the cliffs." The builders had to plan everything carefully. They knew the land perfectly. They noticed a small carved symbol on a rock near the opening. It matched one of the symbols from the chambers. Lila copied it into her notebook. "This must be a marker." The builders probably used symbols to guide people along the tunnels and the canal. After spending some time observing the cliffs and taking notes, they decided to return to the canal. They carefully climbed down the tunnel and walked back along the main waterway. The sun had moved, and the light reflected beautifully on the water and the polished walls. "This place is full of secrets," Rami said. "Every corner we explore gives us more clues about the people who built it." Lila smiled. "And the more we explore, the more we realize there is still so much we do not know. But that is what makes it exciting. We are discovering history step by step." As they reached the lower platform near the main canal, they paused. The calm water and the smooth stone walls reflected the sunlight, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Lila wrote in her notebook, summarizing their discoveries and drawing the tunnels they had explored. Rami took more photographs to document everything carefully. "This canal is not just a water system," Lila said. "It is a record of an ancient civilization, their skills, and their knowledge of nature and engineering." Rami nodded. "And we are lucky to witness it. We need to come back with more tools and maybe even experts to understand everything fully. There is a story hidden in these cliffs and is waiting for us to uncover it." As they walked back toward the village, the wind moved gently between the cliffs. The faint hum of water followed them, a reminder that the canal was alive with history. Both friends felt a deep connection to the place. They had not only discovered a hidden canal, but it also uncovered the careful planning, knowledge, and creativity of people long ago. "This is only the beginning," Lila said quietly. "There are more chambers, more tunnels, and more secrets waiting for us. One day, we will understand the whole story." Rami smiled. "Yes, and until then, we will explore, document, and learn. The hidden canal has chosen us to uncover its truth." The cliffs stood tall and silent, holding the secret of the canal and the mysteries of the ancient builders. Rami and Lila left that day with hearts full of excitement and minds filled with questions. The journey into the hidden world had only just begun. The following morning, Rami and Lila woke with renewed excitement. The hidden canal had captured their curiosity completely, and today they were determined to explore further. They packed carefully, bringing ropes, extra lights, measuring tools, and some small climbing equipment. Both felt that today they might find something truly extraordinary. "Do you feel ready for what we might find today?" Lila asked as they walked toward the cliffs. Rami did. "Yes, we have explored most of the main tunnel, and the symbols seem to lead somewhere deeper. I think we will find more chambers today." The hike through the rocky trail was easier this time. They knew the paths better and felt more confident moving along narrow passages and high cliffs. The sun was warm, and birds flew overhead. The wind carried a faint smell of water, reminding them that the hidden canal was near. When they arrived at the canal, it looked calm and mysterious as always. Sunlight reflected off the smooth walls, and the water rippled gently. They walked along the edge to the narrow staircase leading to the lower platform. From there, they could see the tunnel entrances they had explored earlier. "We should start with the side tunnels," Rami suggested. "Yesterday, we found a small outdoor opening. There could be other chambers hidden in similar areas." Lila agreed, and they carefully entered a side tunnel they had not explored fully. The tunnel was narrow and damp, but the walls were smooth and strong. Water flowed gently along a small channel beside them. Symbols lined the walls, pointing them further into the cliff. "This tunnel is different," Lila whispered. "The carvings are sharper and newer looking. Someone may have maintained this long ago." Rami shone his flashlight into the darkness. Or the builders were very precise. Every part of the tunnel seems carefully made. After walking for some time, they reached a narrow staircase leading downward. The steps were carved from stone, worn but solid. Rami tested the first step with his foot, and it held firm. Lila followed, gripping the wall for support. The staircase spiraled slightly, leading them deeper into the cliff's dot at the bottom. They found a large wooden door, partially hidden by stone and shadows. It looked old but strong. Symbols on the door matched some of the carvings they had seen in other chambers. Lila ran her fingers over the patterns. This could be a hidden chamber. The symbols might be a key or a warning. Rami pushed gently. The door opened slowly with a soft creak, revealing a large room beyond. The chamber was unlike anything they had seen so far. Its walls were lined with smooth stone, and water channels flowed in patterns across the floor. In the center, a raised platform held small stone pillars carved with shapes of animals, stars, and plants. "This is incredible," Lila said, stepping inside carefully. "It looks like a special chamber. Maybe it was a place for ceremonies or learning." Rami walked around, taking photographs from every angle. "Everything here is preserved perfectly. Look at the carvings on the pillars. They are different from the ones outside. Someone spent a lot of time making this room beautiful and meaningful." They explored each corner of the chamber. Small channels of water connected to the main canal, showing that the builders had designed a precise system for water flow. Some channels ended in shallow basins that reflected light from small openings above. Sunlight made the carvings shine softly, giving the room a magical feel. "This place is amazing," Lila said. The builders were not just engineers. They were artists too. Everything has beauty and purpose. Rami noticed a small pattern on the floor. It looked like a map or a diagram, showing the layout of the tunnels and chambers. These markings might tell us how the entire canal system was built. If we study this, we could understand the full design of the hidden canal. Lila knelt down, sketching the map carefully in her notebook. "We should take precise notes. Every detail could be important. The builders left clues, and we need to follow them step by step." As they examined the chamber, Rami noticed a small stone door, partially hidden behind a raised platform. "Look at this," he said, pointing. "It is small, almost like a secret passage." Lila's eyes widened. "It might lead to another chamber or a storage area. Let's see if it opens." Rami gently pushed the stone. It moved smoothly, revealing a narrow tunnel beyond. They shone their flashlights inside and saw that it extended deep into darkness. The tunnel walls were carved smoothly, and a faint echo of water could be heard from somewhere below. "This could be the main secret of the canal," Lila whispered. "We might find something that has never been seen before." They entered the tunnel cautiously, moving slowly to avoid slipping on the damp floor. The air grew cooler and the water sound became louder. Symbols continued along the walls, pointing them forward. Some were new, showing shapes of birds, fish, and stars, arranged in patterns that seemed to tell a story. "This tunnel feels important," Rami said. "The builders wanted this area hidden and protected. I think we are close to the heart of the canal system." After some time, the tunnel opened into a larger underground chamber. The ceiling was high, and sunlight from small openings above created beams of light that danced on the walls. Water flowed from the side channels into a central pool, perfectly calm and clear. Around the pool, carved stone steps led to small platforms with inscriptions and symbols. Lila stepped closer, her notebook ready. "These inscriptions are different. They tell a story. Look at the shapes of people, plants, and animals. It seems like a record of life and nature from the past." Rami examined the water channels. The builders must have designed this chamber as a place of learning and observation. Water, stone, and symbols are all connected. It is like a hidden classroom or library. They spent hours documenting the chamber. Lila copied the inscriptions carefully, while Rami photographed everything. The symbols seemed to tell a story of people who understood the land, water, and sky. They used the canal not only for transportation and water, but also to preserve knowledge. "This chamber is the key to understanding the canal," Lila said. "Every chamber we found leads us closer to the truth, but this one seems like the main discovery." Rami nodded. "We need to study everything carefully. The builders left a legacy, and we are the first to see it in modern times." As they explored, they noticed small hidden platforms along the walls. Some had carvings of plants and animals, while others showed the sun and stars in different positions. Lila realized that the builders had a system to record time and seasons using symbols and water flow. "This is amazing," she whispered. They used water, sunlight, and symbols to track time and preserve knowledge. They must have been very advanced. Rami smiled. "And we are lucky to witness it. This is more than a canal. It is a window into history, science, and art combined." After documenting everything, they prepared to leave. They carefully walked back through the secret tunnel, retracing their steps to the main chamber and the canal outside. The sunlight welcomed them as they stepped into the fresh air. The water of the canal reflected the cliffs, calm and mysterious as ever. "This day has been unforgettable," Lila said, looking at the smooth walls and flowing water. "We have discovered the hidden chamber and learned so much about the people who built it." Rami nodded. "And there is still more to uncover. We have seen the heart of the canal, but the symbols and tunnels might lead to even greater discoveries." As they walked back toward the village, the wind whispered between the cliffs, carrying the gentle sound of flowing water. Both friends felt a deep connection to the hidden canal. It was more than just a secret place. It was a story waiting to be told, preserved in stone, water, and light. "We will come back," Lila said quietly. "There are more secrets hidden here, and we will uncover them step by step." Rami smiled. "Yes, the hidden canal has shown us its heart, and soon we will understand the truth behind its creation." The cliff stood silently, guarding the canal and its secrets. Rami and Lila left with hearts full of excitement and minds filled with wonder. The journey into the hidden world beneath the cliffs was far from over, and the most surprising discoveries were yet to come. The morning sun bathed the cliffs in golden light as Rami and Lila prepared for their final exploration. Over the past days, they had discovered the hidden canal, tunnels, and chambers carved with mysterious symbols. Their notebooks and cameras were filled with sketches, photographs, and observations. But both of them felt that the greatest discovery was still ahead. "Today we might understand the true purpose of the canal," Rami said, adjusting his backpack. "Everything we have seen leads to a larger story. Leela smiled. I hope we are ready. This might explain why the canal was built in the first place. They walked along the familiar rocky trail, feeling more confident in the cliffs and tunnels. Birds flew overhead, and the wind carried a faint, fresh scent from the canal below. When they reached the hidden waterway, it looked calm and serene, yet it seemed alive with mystery. They descended the narrow staircase to the lower platform and entered the tunnel that led to the secret chambers. The symbols on the walls guided them, and the faint sound of flowing water followed them as they moved deeper into the cliffs. Every step brought them closer to the heart of the canal system. This is it, Lila whispered, pointing toward the side tunnel they had partially explored before. The symbols here seemed to lead to something bigger. Raimi nodded and shone his flashlight inside. The tunnel extended deeper than before, descending slightly and narrowing at first. The walls were smooth, polished stone, and small channels of water ran along the sides. The air smelled fresh and cool, filled with the soft hum of moving water dot as they advanced. The tunnel widened into a large underground hall they had never seen. The ceiling was high, and small openings above allowed sunlight to filter in, creating beams of light that danced across the carved stone walls. Water flowed in gentle channels along the floor, leading to a central pool. This must be the final chamber, Rami said. It is larger than any other room we have found. Lila stepped closer to the pool. Its surface was perfectly still, reflecting the beams of sunlight and the carvings on the walls. She noticed patterns etched into the stone around the pool. The symbols were similar to those in the other chambers, but arranged to form a complex design, almost like a map. These markings show connections, she said. They might explain the entire canal system, including the tunnels, chambers, and water flow. Raimi examined the walls carefully. It is incredible. The builders were not only engineers, but also planners and teachers. They wanted to leave knowledge for future generations. They explored the chamber thoroughly. Small channels led from the central pool to the corners of the room, each ending in basins carved perfectly into the stone. On the walls, symbols depicted people carrying water, planting crops, observing stars, and marking time. Lila realized that the canal system was more than a waterway. It was a guide for living, learning, and understanding nature. This is beyond our imagination, Lila whispered. The canal was designed to teach people how to use water, track time, and observe the stars. The chambers were classrooms hidden beneath the cliffs. Raimi nodded. Every chamber, every tunnel, every symbol has meaning. The builders wanted their knowledge to survive, even if people forgot about the canal. They walked toward a raised platform in the center of the chamber. Carvings on its surface showed stars in different positions, phases of the moon, and the movement of the sun. Small channels of water flowed beside the platform, reflecting light onto the carvings. These are astronomical symbols, Lila said. They show the positions of the sun, moon, and stars. The builders must have studied the sky carefully. They combined their knowledge of water and land with the heavens. Raimi looked around in awe. The hidden canal was not only for water or transportation. It was a school, a library, and a record of life all in one. The builders were preserving knowledge for anyone who discovered it. As they examined the carvings, they noticed that some symbols matched patterns they had seen outside along the canal and in other chambers. Lila realized that the entire canal system was a connected network. Each chamber, tunnel, and symbol led to the next, forming a complete guide to understanding water, land, and sky. This is a complete system, she said. It is more than just a canal. It is the knowledge of an entire civilization hidden beneath the cliffs. Raimi smiled. And now we are the ones to uncover it. We have the responsibility to study it carefully and share the story. They spent hours documenting the final chamber. Lila copied all the inscriptions and symbols into her notebook, while Remy photographed everything from multiple angles. The sunlight shifted as the day progressed, highlighting different carvings and reflecting beautifully on the water channel's dot as they finished. Lila stepped to the edge of the central pool. "Do you see the carvings here?" she asked. "They seem to tell a message. Knowledge is preserved for those who seek it. The canal itself is a teacher, guiding us through water, tunnels, and symbols." Remy leaned closer, tracing the lines with his fingers. "It is true. The builders wanted to leave a legacy. They combine nature, architecture, and learning in a way that survives even centuries later. They explored the smaller platforms and basins around the chamber, noticing carvings of animals, plants, and people working together. Lila realized that the builders wanted to show how humans and nature could live in harmony, using water wisely and observing the world carefully. "This is a lesson for everyone," she said softly. "The canal teaches respect for nature, knowledge of science, and the importance of planning and learning." Remy nodded. "It is amazing that such wisdom has survived. And it is hidden, waiting for someone to discover it, just like us." They took one last look at the chamber, feeling a deep sense of connection with the builders. The calm water reflected the carved walls, the flowing channels, and the sunlight. Everything was perfectly preserved, as if waiting for someone to understand the story. "This hidden canal is one of the greatest discoveries we have ever made," Lila said. "It is not just about water or tunnels. It is about knowledge, harmony, and the human desire to preserve wisdom." Remy. "And now we know the truth. The canal, the chambers, and the symbols were created to teach and guide. The builders wanted future generations to find it, learn from it, and understand the world." As they prepared to leave the final chamber, they walked carefully back through the tunnels, retracing their steps to the main canal. The sunlight outside welcomed them as they stepped into the fresh air. The canal stretched ahead, calm and peaceful, yet alive with centuries of hidden knowledge. "This place will always stay with us," Lila said, looking at the smooth stone walls and flowing water. "We discovered a secret of the past, and now it is part of our story too." Remy nodded. "And we will share it carefully, showing the world the wisdom preserved here without harming the canal. The truth is more important than fame or recognition." They walked back toward the village, their hearts full of excitement and minds filled with wonder. The cliffs stood silently, guarding the hidden canal and its secrets. But now, Remy and Lila understood the purpose of the waterway, the chambers, and the symbols. "This journey has changed us," Lila said quietly. "We have seen how knowledge can survive through time and how it can teach anyone who seeks it." Remy smiled. "Yes, and we will keep exploring, learning, and understanding. The hidden canal has shown us the past, and we will carry its lessons into the future." As they left the cliffs behind, the wind whispered softly between the rocks, carrying the faint hum of flowing water. The hidden canal remained calm and mysterious, holding its secrets for the next explorers. Remy and Lila knew that the story they had uncovered was more than just a discovery. It was a message of wisdom, harmony, and the human spirit preserved across centuries. The hidden canal had revealed its truth, and Remy and Lila had witnessed the wonder, knowledge, and beauty hidden beneath the cliffs. They knew that the adventure would stay with them forever, and that the lessons of the canal would inspire them for the rest of their lives.